Okay, so this is the second session of the seasonal soul. For last week, you were given some prompts and told to read chapter 58. Jen, you want to recap those prompts for everybody, please? She doesn't have her book. We'll beat her later
Yes,
with
I do. Yes, I do. It's right here. I swear to God, I just had it. What?
which god? Which god? Because
Lilith, because I'm gonna blame her this time.
we've been watching the Avengers series steady over here. I think I now belong to Thor in all aspects of my human mind, body, and soul.
Here it is. Uh, what what were you asking me to do, boss?
I want you to recap the prompts for everybody so we can go over these.
Okay. The recap of the prompts. That's actually on a Word document.
Look at you, fancy pants.
I know.
For those of you that don't know, Jen is going to be the tour guide here for a while in this
Ghost
effort.
toast.
So,
Okay, I'm pulling it up right now. Alrighty. So we have are you finding anything that certain seasonal traits reson with you? Is there something that is very clear you should be doing, but there's a fear attached, so you haven't? We also have you learned anything about yourself so far? And the last one was, which season is your home base and why are you comfortable there?
okay, so as we went into this, you have those questions upon her, and they were prior to reading because some of you had not even started reading yet, correct? Correct. We went over soul self and human self last week. So, human self sees the muggle change, sees the wheel change. For those of us that live in a seasonal atmosphere, we see those changes. So, they're very visible to us. Now, for your soul self, it's a totally different representation. And she does such a great job of going over that. So let's have a volunteer, someone explain soul self. Don't everybody volunteer at once. Do we have a volunteer? That's only page 13, guys. Come on.
Sure, I can take it.
Thank you, Lisa.
Basically, soul self is what you feel inside, or at least that's how I'm portraying it. It's, you know, the feeling like right now, because it's winter, your soul self is saying, settle, relax. My soul self says, don't go outside. Um, but, just be very calm and quiet. It can also tell you that while you might be in the middle of summer, you need some time to quiet down and go through a short winter.
Okay. Anybody else have anything to add? Chris?
Your soul self is your higher mind. It is yourself without ego. Your human self is your ego. And when you can control and not allow your ego self to take over things, your soul self is what fills in that space and you become more aligned. So your soul self is more than just what season you're in. It is your higher mind, your Hormut. That's who that is.
Okay, so she goes, we have that definition where it's the aspect of yourself that knows who you are without all the bullshit that comes in on the regular, right? So your human self deals with the carpool, the groceries, the electric bill, the schedules, the bullshit. You know, for lack of a better word, the muggle struggle is the human self's job. So human self needs to live. Human self needs to keep the cog oiled. Human self needs to get it all going. Higher self says, well, none of this is attributing to my self's growth or my worth or any of this. Why am I doing all this? And human self is like, hey, dumbass, you have to survive. Like you can live in your temple and worship 6 days a week, but you're not going to make it if you don't have a little bit of tie to higher meaning of yourself, correct? So it's a constant struggle with this. I mean, for lack of a better word, it's like a tug of war with your actual form. It's like, it's like the balance. I so want buns of steel, but I so want cinnamon buns, right? That's like that balance. So, I so want to stay to this path that I've chosen for myself, but this path I've chosen for myself is demanding and overbearing and it doesn't work with what I'm going through. And she goes into this beautiful thing where she discusses the soul rhythms that you see as you enter a season, okay? And everybody's telling you, "Oh, it's winter, stay inside, isolate, get away from people." But in your body, you may not be a winter right now. Some people flourish in this colder weather and they want to go outside and do activities and get together with their friends and go on nature walks in the cold. And they love this time of year because we don't like to sweat. Those of us who are fat, we don't like to sweat. Fuck that sweating stuff. That's overwhelming and no thank you. Okay. So if I can go for a walk in the cold, I'm not going to sweat. I'm not going to be uncomfortable. It's comforting for me. A certain amount of cold is comforting for me. But for other people, that's offensive. That cold is offensive to them and they don't want any parts of it. So my soul self does not align with my human self on that season. Okay. So, but you also have to understand she goes into this beautiful lesson here where there's cycles within cycles. So even though you're resting, you're still working. Does that make sense? So mothers and women who wear many hats in life understand this. Just because there's rest, the world is telling us to rest, doesn't mean we can rest. Okay. And it doesn't help us that we have an entire media pushing in on us, telling us this is what you're to be doing. I mean, sorry guys, I have an itchy eye today. When you move into this, let's take Yule for an example. So companies in the outside world take Yule as this huge celebration. They plaster it with Christmas and it's this huge celebration and we're buying gifts, we're running out. Our path tells us this is a time to slow down and center it. Be grateful for what we have, move with what we have, all the comforts are already there that we need. But we live in this machine that tells us you do not have the comforts you need. You need this hot chocolate. You need this baked good. You need this present for your children. You need this television show playing. You need to create this perfect environment for the perfect storm of Yule happiness. And we all sit in it. We all strive to make the perfect holiday. How many of you have started off a planner page in your planner going, we are going to have the perfectest Yule ever? You did it. You have the fucking Clark Griswold effect. Don't lie to me. I know you have. I'm going to send all my cards. I'm going to get all my gifts out. It's going to be beautiful. I'm going to have a perfect meal, all the things. Okay. And when we come to the realization that maybe we're not going to get all the way there, we just fuck it. I'm done. Not even doing this. Then we go, I'm not sending any cards. I'm not doing any of this. I'm not worried about presents for people I love. I'm just not doing it because it's not fucking worth it to me. And for some people, this spurs that cycle of depression, isolation, doubt, because when you come in and you live in that shadow in that season as you go on and learn in the winter chapter, there's side effects to being into the shadow of a season rather than the light of a season. So these soul rhythms come down to how do you identify with the season? So would anybody like to share how they identify with the season of winter? Alicia?
I identify with winter. I actually I sit there a lot, I noticed. A lot of my life is based upon like all that winter, like isolation and stuff. So that's generally my home. But right now I tend to be kind of like in spring. I'm like a little bit ahead, looking like hopeful and preparing for new things. But yeah, pretty much I'm in winter a lot.
So you're sowing the seeds right now, right?
Yeah.
You're sowing the seeds in winter like so many of us do. I mean, the fucking is coming up. I mean, Emilk. And it's this point in the season where we realize light is beginning to shine a little bit and things are coming back to life. And oh, fuck, I got to leave the cave, right? That's why I call it the fucking. This is about to fuck me out of my isolation. I've got to leave the house again. because the world's coming awake and I'm going to have to go to greenhouses and I'm going to have to go buy plants and all those things are going to be so. So that's one way to relate to it. Thank you, Alicia. Anybody relate to spring right now rather than winter solely? Tasha?
So winter is definitely not my fucking season at all. Like I definitely am just like blah, like completely just. Spring is definitely where I sit, and I've definitely seen that because I notice every winter I get just my depression kicks in. I feel overwhelmed. I feel like part of me feels like I need to just go, 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 but then there's another part of me that's just like, no, we're not gonna do that, and it's a struggle. But then spring starts getting closer, and that's when I start feeling alive again. I start feeling like, yes, this is it. I love spring into midsummer. That's it. Just makes me feel alive and rejuvenated and energized again and hopeful again. I noticed that some people feel that way about winter, but I definitely cannot get myself there.
But I think what you have is a valid point because if that's where you feel alive,
Mm,
that's where you want to reside. Like that's the
yeah,
season you want to sit in. Nobody wants to sit in something that's slightly uncomfortable, even if it is for growth. I mean, that's great that you're going to grow, but fucking growing is uncomfortable. We all know this, nobody wants to be in the gooey cocoon. Like that's
mm,
the uncomfortable place. And you have to put yourself into that cocoon is the misconception that everybody has.
yeah,
Like nobody can force you to fucking want to change. You have to want to change. I mean, it goes the same thing with addiction, behavior modification, relationships with your spouse and your family. Those things are first and foremost that you need to have that decision making ability. Jen?
Uh, f- when you asked who's in kind of like the opposite, that's me because I live in the desert in Arizona. So for me right now is the time to get out. It's 65 degrees. I can walk. I'm coming home with bigger sticks, um, collecting firewood, that kind of stuff. And then for me, when summer's here and if it's 120 degrees outside, that's where we are snowed in which we are, not going out unless it's something really important. So I'm kind of like the opposite of y'all because we don't have the snow here. So I'm out walking, I'm out enjoying the cold. So as much I love autumn and winter. I mean, autumn's my season, that's my home. But for me, yes, it's depressing and everything else, but I can go out and walk and come home with like this many sticks and Roy's like, oh my God, what are you doing?
See, I feel the exact opposite of you guys. Like summer is my fucking winter. I hate summer. I hate how hot it is. I
Hmm.
hate everywhere you go, you feel like you're walking into a fucking oven. It's
Yep.
offensive. Like, I'm like, fuck this. I do not want to live in here. Like, fuck
Right.
all of this. Like, you walk outside your house and then you're like, no, fuck this shit. Close the door and come back in. If it doesn't involve a pool or a beach, I am not interested. Screw this shit. So I,
Well,
I get where you're saying like that with for you guys. Yeah, totally.
there's a
well, I love
comedian
your
that
cocoon. I love the cocoon thing. Sorry, I love
oh,
that. Thank you for that cocoon thing, by the way, Sissy, because that really made a lot of fucking sense for me. And it's not that I mind going into the cocoon; it's sitting in that cocoon for too long that really starts. Like you said, I love. I'm gonna write that cocoon analogy down because that I felt that.
So
Sorry,
I
Jen.
heard a teacher say that. That's not totally out of my gut, but a teacher that I was sitting in a class listening to her, and she said something that made a lot of sense to me. You can't sit and change too fucking long because it begins to stink. And people who sit are comfortable to sit in that awkwardness and not change, it's the same thing. You're gonna rot. Either way, you're gonna rot. If you don't change, you're gonna rot. And if you sit in that space with all the potential and don't take it, you're gonna rot there too. Like there's two parts of that situation. Like this when she explains the cycles within the cycles on page 23, I fucking love that. Because she explains how you have this big cycle, but then there's little cycles within it. So like it's just like the moon. Just because we have a new to full doesn't mean there's not a waxing. And it's really important to appreciate the whole cycle, not just a portion of the cycle, and be grateful for all aspects of it. And people just want to go, okay, well, it's new, and then I'll check back in full. And when I'm done with full, I'll go back to dark. You know, I love the people who go, well, I miss dark, so I guess I'll grab new. They're not the same. Excuse me. They're not the same. Like this analogy of where we can replace human kindness with community is different. Community is not necessarily human kindness. Just because you're amongst a big group of people doesn't mean you feel loved in a big group of people. You know, and this is the misconceptions that this book is trying to teach you, that your soul self has a different contract than what your human self craves, like your ego. Your ego likes having friends and has, you know, all that kind of thing. But your soul, your soul may be okay all by its fucking self. Your soul might be like, you know, fuck all you fuckers, bye. And when you come into this alignment, as she's talking about, you get down to soul contracts. And soul contracts are powerful things. So when people, I don't know how to say this without being a dick, so I'm just going to say it, okay? When people come into soul contracts, they usually become very undesirable for everyone around them. Because once you come down to what you desire for your soul and living out the purpose you signed before that, coming through the great vagina of the world, like your birthing situation, which was probably pretty traumatic for everybody involved, let's be honest, right? Why do you think your living is going to be any less traumatic? Because it's not. Your fucking soul's contract is written on your bones. It is what you signed up for. It is your alignment with the universe. If you believe all this, I mean, if you're playing the Dungeons and Dragons with me and you're this far, Dungeon Master, we believe this concept, okay? This woman that writes this stuff, I don't know if you've done any research on her. She is French, and most of her publications are in French. This is a rare English written document she's offering. Teaches classes too on shadow work, and they're fucking phenomenal. I did one of her classes for $150. It was probably one of the best 4-module classes I've ever fucking experienced. Well written, well thought out, and it all focuses on soul contracts and our ability and our fucking underlying need to be light. It is over fucking rated. If you are good with you, that's what fucking matters. And so many of us tie ourselves in knots and assume the season that people need us to and dress the part and do what people want to appease people. And that's not fucking life. And part of your human self wants to connect you to people that you feel are similar to you. But your soul self's going, no, this is not in our contract. That's called your intuition. And we disregard our intuition all the time because we want to believe in potential. We saw it all over the internet right now. Potential is not what other people have, it is what you would do if you were living their life. End of story. You can't tell what another person's soul contract is. We don't come out stamped. And this soul contract part of this is just really intense. So the language of your soul and knowing how your soul wants to move is important with these cycles. So that brings you to the new, how am I going to align my soul to observe the seasons in a most authentic way for me? So that means not everybody in here is going to start in the same season. Yeah, we're reading winter. We absolutely are reading winter right now, and the book will go on reading that way. But if you're sitting here and you get to a season and you're like, fuck, I am not here. This is not where I live. This is not who I am. This is not what I'm feeling. Read to the next season. Take a gander at it. It might be where you're at. You know, just like we have sisters who are in the Southern Hemisphere right now, their seasons are totally flip-flop to us. Nevertheless, they're living a season. So how many of you have ever really worked into your soul contract? Anybody have done that?
I haven't worked into my contract, but I've done a lot of meditations to meet with my soul self. That's about it.
Okay, so no one's done soul contract work. I
I
bet
feel
you have
like
and you
I
I bet you
feel
have
like
and you don't even know it.
I was gonna say it's we probably have and just don't realize that that's what it is because we either have different terminology or just not understanding like that is what we've done. You know,
So how many of you have identified what kind of witch you are? It's going to have a lot to do with your soul contract.
Mhm.
What archetype have you taken on? Did you guys get to archetypes yet in here? Okay. So your soul contract has a lot to do with your archetype. And are you ready? Brace yourself. My humble opinion, your archetype can change from season to season. So in one season, you're healing. In one season, you're the cheerleader. In one season, you're the cook, the chef, the grower, the nurturer of your home. These archetypes will change throughout your life. Your soul contract has a lot to do with what archetype holds your season the strongest. What season are you? I mean, we can do it in fashion. I'm a fall, I'm a summer, I'm cool tones, I'm warm tones. We all do it in that, right? Makeup. We all did the Mary Kay makeover if we're over 40 years old. I mean, everybody's had a fucking Mary Kay maker. Y'all laughing, you old bitches. I see y'all laughing.
I was a Mary Kay lady one time.
So
Can you
you know the
believe it even?
seasonal thing with the Mary Kay makeups, right? Oh, you're a warm tones, you're a cool tones. Are you a warm element? Are you a cool element? What is your element? Knowing your element, knowing your gifts, and knowing who you are brings you back to your soul contract. And a lot of you do this intense meditation work and yoga, and you take all this time to center yourself while you're quiet in there and you're talking to your soul team. We all learned about our soul team, right? Ask them.
Mhm.
They were all hired to support you in your contract. They're your fucking posse. They know your soul contract. They know the details. They haven't forgotten it all like you. Some of you lost sight from like the fucking bucket under the tree with the stick and the leaves, where you were going to curse the little neighbor boy who fucking bent your wheel on your Barbie scooter. Okay? You forget where you were. The older you get and the more your ego takes over shit. Humbling experiences, disease, things that happen, cycles within cycles are the key to unveiling these soul contracts. When you were at your lowest, what spoke to you? When you were in massive amounts of women having magical workings, what resonated with you? What did you feel? What did you feel? I know when I'm with a big group of women, crafting is something that resonates hugely with me. I love it. It makes me happy. Cooking for a huge book of fuck the retreats. I just like to cook. So if everybody wants to get together at a house, I'll just go and fucking cook, okay? Because that's what I like to do. Y'all need to clean up the fucking dishes because I do not like that part of the retreat, okay? But those are the things that make me happy. Seeing everybody go to the water and get what they're looking for, that makes me happy. I would probably say my soul contract has to do with service. God, I fucking work in the service industry and my fucking soul contract is disgusting. If you've ever worked in a restaurant or run a restaurant, that is not what you want to hear about your soul contract, okay? So when you work into this and you resonate in this, that contract is so important. So if I was going to say anything in this book, I'd say figuring out your soul contract, meditating to that point. I don't have a recommendation for a meditation. I really don't. But I would suggest you do meditations that get you in touch with your posse, your supporting characters, because your supporting characters are important. They are vastly important. I had someone say to me one time, I was in a large women's group and they weren't witches. They were spiritually aware. So that to me is like lots of crystals and people who still go to church but really want to see the other side of the world. Okay. Cool with me. Whatever. They're witch curious. They just want to get their tongue in there a little bit, not play in the majors. That's how I look at this. Okay. So when you go in and you're witch curious with your friends, and I love women who are witch curious because they look at it differently than I do. For me, it's like all in, pardon the analogy, balls deep. We are balls deep in this for me. There's no, I'm not witch curious anymore. Like I'm in there, I go to the dark part of the bookshelf. I sit in the way back of the classroom. Like this is where I'm at and this is where I live. But there are women who are still witch curious. So when they come in, they do a lot of different work. They do a lot of light work. They do a lot of Reiki work. They do a lot of metaphysical work. And I love that because it opens them up to see things a little bit. And I sometimes feel that when we come in and we feel we're not witch curious, it hinders the soul bind contract spiritual aspect of this. You don't take that time to do it. And that is really a fundamental of this, is learning how to communicate with your soul team. Because when you're lost, they're going to bring you back. They know where you are at all times. They're like your kindergarten teacher, like roll call, get your ass back here, get out of there. You don't belong in there. You can feel when you're doing magic you don't belong in. Like I can honestly tell you, when I go in to do a little research on Aleister Crowley, I get pulled right back. I always get, nope, you don't belong here, pull back. This is not for you. This is not your thing. It's not my thing. I don't work with demons. They're not my thing. I don't feel comfortable there. They bother me. So when you're doing this, what can you do to enhance that soul contract? Any of you have ideas? Because we're really going to focus on this because I think it's an important fucking part of this process. Knowing your soul contract, that should be like a written statement in the front of your fucking notebook for moving forward. If you don't know it for 100%, let's put a rough draft in here. Let's ride this bitch raw and hard, put it in there wet. Okay. Let's ride this bitch wet. Okay. Put her in there. What do you want to be? What do you think you need to be? What is resonating to you? What is calling to you? Write that fucking contract. And it is a contract with nobody but you and the universe. So it's not like you got to go get a lawyer. The universe has no lawyers. They do have karma. So be careful of that. So when you go in, write these contracts. What resonates with you? What holds to you? Do you want to be of service? Do you want to help others? Do you want to see yourself grow? Do you want to fortify your magic? Do you want to be able to walk across fire? Do you want to be able to speak to spirits? What do you want to do? But I assure you, somewhere in that fucking path, it should be, I want to be authentically me without regard to what everybody else fucking thinks. If you are having a meeting with the trees and I see you at a retreat, I'm going to like, get it, girl. Be like, that's my bitch. Get it, girl. Because that is what calls to you. Believe me, I have seen women come back with sticks and mushrooms and shit in their hair. And I'm like, that's it. Right there. That's fucking it. I will walk in the house and my husband's pulling leaves out of my fucking hair when I'm fucking around in the woods. That's what it's about. Jackie? You have to unmute
Unmute
yourself,
Jackie.
Jackie. There you go. I can't unmute Jackie. Jackie has to unmute Jackie. Sorry, guys.
I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
My question is, if you think you know what your soul contract has been most of your life, which I think mine has been a caregiver, and you don't want that to be your soul contract for the rest of your life, can you change that?
Well, I will try to find you somebody to negotiate that. I'll let you know how I find that out. That's a really good question. And I don't have a straight answer for you. I'm not going to bullshit you on this one. I don't have a straight answer for you. Because I hate to say this. I think we sign them before we come in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's us to learn the lessons from them. And maybe next time you'll get lucky and get something better. I mean, I think we come through with the same lesson lifetime to lifetime that we need to learn to live. Your ancestors will tell you that because they'll be like, bitch, what are you doing? We've done this before. Why you look so stupid? All I hear is that lyric in my head where it's like, you look so dumb right now. That one, you know the one I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how many times have you gotten the same lesson in a different person? Don't tell me it hasn't happened to you because it happens to everybody. The same fucking lesson comes through in different people. It's happened to me in the last 2 years with 7 different people at fucking least. And it has nothing to do with this group. I'm talking about in my muggle life, with experiences and people that in just the medical world. Like I see the same, like my grandma used to say, same church, different pew. It's the same church, different pew. It's the same lesson, different person. How are you handling things that come your way any differently? Because you're probably not. Because we're all taught to treat people with love and compassion and understanding and think the best of them, when sometimes that's not in anyone's best interest. Does that make sense? Like the caregiver archetype is really hard. I mean, I've never had to care for a child the way I have over the last 2 years. This is fucking hard. Like I'm not cut out for this. This is not, I want to know who got these fucking scissors out because these are not my scissors. These are not my scissors. But it's not a choice. Sometimes, Jackie, I think an archetype is flung upon us to learn a new lesson. That I do believe. But do I think we can renegotiate our soul contracts? God, I hope so. I really hope so. I mean, Hecate has taught me a lot of things, and there's always choices. They're not necessarily the choices I wanted, but there's choices. And they don't always look the same as you want them. But if you know the caretaker is not if that's not a healthy archetype for you, not a healthy soul contract, make the archetype work for you. Make the contract work for you. Like they say when people have jobs and they're like, I just work here because it's my job. Like, no shit. I think that's the universal lesson. Don't blame me. I just work here. Like I fucking signed up for this before I was here. I did not know it was going to look like this. And you have to make the best of the soul contract you have. And hopefully next time your spirit is like, whoa, I did this. No, we need to renegotiate here. There's a whole bunch of stuff here I don't want involved in. And I think boundaries is important, but understanding the boundaries that you are aligned with is another importance. This book is showing you that there is flexibility in even the wheel for you and how you perceive the wheel. Does that make sense? Tasha?
Yeah, no, my mom is also very much that archetype, whether she likes it or not. And she has been one her whole life in her, job wise as well. But I think what she's been doing now that she's getting older is trying to take that and turn that in on herself versus having that pushing it outward and taking care of everyone else. She's trying to rehone it into on herself. Does that make sense? Am I wording that right, Jackie? Where you are a caretaker, that is who you are. You might not be able to escape that, but you can try to turn it in towards yourself more versus in your outside world.
Chris just wrote something in the contracts that's really. She wrote this in the comments. If you saw it, about doing past life regression work to rewrite your soul contract. That might be something you want to try. Because past life regression shows you what you have done and what you had believed in and how you executed that life frame. Maybe there's something you can bring across and be like, I'm not going to fall for that again. We're going to change this here at this point in time. Does that make sense? That might be a great place to start. I never really thought about it that way. Yeah. The aspects of it too, Vicky, like Vicky just said, are really important too. What aspects of your soul contract exist? Alicia?
When I was reading this part, something that kept coming back to me is
what page are you on, honey?
Oh, just the archetypes, like the soul work.
Okay.
I was wondering, like, has anyone's soul self or human self completely flipped the script and taken over? Like, what if your soul self doesn't want to do the human bullshit self? I wonder if that ever occurs and the other part can take over.
I think a lot of people do.
Yeah.
I actually think you're seeing it right now in the witch world.
Yeah.
Like in big educators.
Yeah, because
they have total disregard for anything or anyone but themselves.
Mhm.
It's pushing that way.
That's the ego self taking over. But like myself, like I don't like to live in the real world. I don't. I hate it here. I mean, I feel like that's my soul self.
Do you think
I don't know.
people that do witchcraft live in the real world?
No, hell
I don't
no.
think they do either.
Just hard to like acclimate to the real world. It is because it's just bullshit. But I just know I was just wondering about that. It kept coming to me a lot.
Okay, so here's a really good question. How many of you would do anything to avoid going out on public if you had a chance? You know why? Your soul self's more aware. You see people for what they are, and you don't want to be there.
Yeah, and then people think that we're nuts. That's the hardest part of all that when you start to get into what you
I'm
are.
okay with that. Do you want to be
Oh,
nuts
yeah.
together? I will
Oh,
hang
yeah.
out with you. I'm cool with that.
I'm crazy on paper. Might as well just live it. But yeah, it's hard to deal with that shit sometimes.
Well, the reality of the situation is if you're not with people who support
Mm.
what you do, they're not your fucking people.
Right.
And I know we have to be amongst people. I fucking get that, believe me. I sit in IVIG clinics, I sit in fucking doctor's offices, I sit in fucking school meetings. I fucking hate them.
Me too.
And they look at me and they're like, why are you teaching Caroline about this? And why are you teaching Caroline about that? Why do you want to teach her about Jesus and wine? It's the
Mhm.
same thing.
Same thing. Yeah.
It's a different way to look at it. I
Mhm.
mean, if you think about it, even the Christian church is a little bit living in their soul self.
Mhm.
They
Yeah.
don't see things the way that you do. I watched a witch yesterday on TikTok. It was the best TikTok I've seen forever. And by the time I went to share it, it had been removed. Like I couldn't find her from my feed again. And she was talking about the 10 things you need to take out of your home if you are a recently saved Christian that was a witch. And it was amazing seeing the clearly driven lines that she was able to determine. Her human self had totally like fucking jump ship because she had owned a yoga studio. She had owned all these things. And like, I'm pretty sure that was her soul contract. Looking at her, oh, that was her soul contract. Deviated septum, like forked tongue. She had it all going on. This girl was all the way in. Like, you could tell at one point she was like drinking the Kool-Aid. Like, she probably had piles of books on her shelves, like one of us going, I'm Christian now. And everybody's like, what the fuck happened to her? Okay. But she's talking about these things that need removed from your home, anything that puts belief in anything but Jesus Christ. Okay. For her belief system, that's important. What puts red lights off with your soul self? Red lights with my soul self are people who want me to make decisions that they are more important than anything in my life. That's a soul self issue for me. People who say to me, you're delusional and nothing you are doing is helping your child. That's a soul self issue for me. Am I clinically insane? Probably. I'll take it. But some of you have been through some bad shit, and this book goes into it. This book is going to go into PTSD. It's going to go into depression. And what does she write in the sidelines? At no point should you avoid getting a therapist or seeking medical attention. I sit with my therapist against my will once every month. Believe me, it takes all I have not to cancel the appointment. I know some of you are in the same boat, and I truly respect the problem to reach out and share that level of yourself with people because it's hard because you don't know what you're going to get back, right? Like book clubs are really hard because when you put it out, what are you going to get back? What's somebody going to say to you? Oh, you're delusional. Oh, you're stupid. Well, you know what? Opinions are like assholes and everybody's got one. Okay. What you have to understand is she goes into these archetypes and she goes over them and, teacher, activist, networker. A good bit of them are ego related anyway. If you look at them, it's just they're ego related knight, king, queen. There's a level of confidence associated with that archetype. If your human self can't cultivate that, you have to bring in your soul self to bring it forward. And aligning both of these together assists in that. Why do they say pick something that you do for work that illuminates your soul. You know, I know Jeanette works with fabric. I know Claudia works with pottery. I know I work with food. Many of you do these things and they resonate with you. They resonate deeply with you. And that brings you joy in those moments. It should. When it doesn't, why are you doing it? Especially when it's a hobby. If you're doing a hobby that doesn't bring you joy, what the fuck are you doing? Like I know women who are like, "Oh, I do this, this, and this, and I do this," and I'm like, Do you not enjoy it? Oh, I hate it, but I've been doing it for so long. Why? Put that shit on a back burner, sell it on Facebook Marketplace, and go get a new hobby. My question to you, sitting here in this moment right now, is witchcraft a hobby to you, or is it your passion? Because I see a lot of comments of I can't even carve out a minute to my magical work. I carve out minutes to do hobbies. I don't carve out minutes for my work. Like, and I'm not saying that to be rude or disrespectful. I'm like serious with you. This book is not an obligation. This book you should want this. If you don't want this, don't do this. Like if I was your boyfriend, I'd be like, listen, I want you to be with me. I don't want you to feel like you have to be with me. And I feel like a lot of the times we do things in our magic because we feel like it's what we should do. We should burn for it. You burned for it at one point. It was all you could think about. It consumed you. You went down rabbit hole after rabbit hole after rabbit hole, reading, learning, writing, eating, drinking, sleeping. Interesting till your fucking eyes fell out of your head till 3 o'clock in the morning, looking for the right thing to do for yourself. You consulted the Google gods how many times? Looking for information, buying fucking books. I don't know about you, but I probably have about 50 fucking impulse buy books that I thought I needed right there at that fucking. My Kindle is so full, I have to return things to fucking read things. You all there with me? Okay, yeah, I know you are. Don't lie, bitches. I know you are. Today I got a book that was okay. I'm gonna make a real honest thing here for you. You ready? Buckle up, bitches. I bought Layla Moon's The Offering. I'm gonna read this smut book and we're gonna see where this goes, okay? Because I'm just downright curious at this time. She said sleep token. I'm fucking in head first. We're here we fucking go. Okay. So never know. This might get a little smutty here going on in the cauldron. But I went to my Kindle and I had to remove 15 books to read one fucking book. Because they were just sitting there. And I'm like, which one of my fucking personalities put this book in the cart? Because this doesn't even resonate with me anymore. Why do I want to fucking know about smoke blends of the late Incas? What the fuck do I need a smoke blend from the Incas for? Jesus Christ. Like, what the fuck? I want to know what personalities put this shit in my cart at 2 o'clock in the morning because that bitch is not with me, okay? She's not part of my soul contract team. Do not pay any attention to her when she's talking. I wish she would speak like I am Groot, so I don't know who she is and I don't know what she does, okay? So what is burning for you that this soul contract is so fucking important? Do you even care? You know, this year is an infinity year. So you're going to loop back to the same concepts over and over and over. There's no coincidence it's the year of the dragon because a dragon will eat its tail. In every tail, you see the dragon curl up, that its tail meets its head, right? It becomes this infinite loop, the Ouroboros, that snake-like entity, this massive rebirth. I got news for you. You're going to have to eat yourself to be reborn. And let me tell you what, I've eaten my foot plenty of times in the real world. Spiritually, it's a whole new fucking ball game. Learning how to take the person you once were, that you once believed you were, when you open this book and you like wrote all those prompts before you read, you at the end of the book is going to be like, no, no, thank you. Who was that bitch? Who dis? And you're going to be looking back and going, I'm the owner of this house. That's what you're going to be looking back saying. Who dis? I'm the owner of this house. Because so many of us have allowed media, mass friends in the witch world, muggle impact in the witch world to make our working decisions. We work depending on what we see. It's not how this works. Some of the best teachers out there are going to give you open-ended prompts this year. I am fucking here for the open-ended prompt. I am not lying to you. I am fucking here for the open-ended prompt. I am here for handing Caroline my deck of oracle cards and letting her pull the card that influences my answer for the prompt. The more layers of magic I can put on something, the better off it is for me. I even toyed with reaching out to a member of the women that have attended and commented on the post, asking one of you to pull a card for the class today. I want to see how it works. I'm witch curious this year. I am curious about a lot of things, but I am most curious to see what aspect of my magic I have not been accessing. Because what you are pushing aside is the scariest part of you that needs to grow. Some of you are so hell bent on doing it all right and making connections while you do it. It may be a year of solidarity for you. It may be a year of deuces, I'm fucking out. It's not a bad thing. I have signed out of a lot of communities. I've signed out of a lot of emails. I've signed out of a lot of groups, not because I dislike anybody or I don't care about them, but I don't need that noise anymore. And when I go to my email, it's nothing but noise. If you notice, for the LHC doesn't send you a lot of emails. I do it on fucking purpose. The only time you usually get an email from me is on a blast when there's a coupon code to save, or there's a brand new item. I don't fucking want to do it. It's nonsense people don't fucking need. You need to go out and source what you're looking for. You guys know where to find it. You're experienced witches. So when you're going into these archetypes, let's pull this book up and look at these archetypes on page 34. Because I really want you to take an archetype and really try to identify one or two of them into your soul contract. Does that make sense? Does that resonate for you guys? Have any of you written your soul contract? That's definitely number one homework for next week. Write your soul contract. I don't care if it's right. And don't a goddamn one of you call me and go, can you do a soul contract read? I'm going to be like, no, shut the fuck up. I'm not doing soul contract reads. Do your own fucking read. It's your own soul contract. I'm over here renegotiating mine, trying to figure out what the fuck I did, okay? Because I have a feeling that just like the Lunar Hearth Cauldron where I put too much in my fucking lap, I did the same thing on that fucking day I was signing my contract. Sure, I'll do that. No worries. I got this. Probably over-obligated my ass, okay? And most of us do over-obligate our ass. It's our nature. As we're people pleasers. Did I say that? Yeah, I fucking said that.
That
Okay.
one's not on these, but it should be.
We can write it in. It's our book. I think we need to find another word for it. Brownie. Brownie should be the archetype.
Rescuer kind of. No, that's not-
Rescue. Yeah, pretty much. So teacher, guide, mother, lover. Ooh, I like lover. Can that be my soul contract? No, that'd be a hooker, right? No, can't do that. Victim, martyr, mystic, healer, nurse, detective, child, magician. Some of these link up too. Do you notice that? Like you can link them. Activist, monk, geek, scientist, saboteur, actor, goddess, witch, queen, bully, explorer, warrior, networker, gossiper, rescuer, seductress, visionary, storyteller, knight, king, judge, critic, rebel, beggar. So here's the thing. One of these is going to be your light, and one of these is going to be your shadow of your soul contract. Got it? You understand that? So how many of you took archetypes with me? You're all looking at. I know Claudia did. I know Alicia did.
I think I did.
Some of you were too new for the archetypes class. That was when I was nice and had kindergarten teacher hair. I think so. Wasn't it Claudia? Was that kindergarten teacher here? Yeah, it was. Okay, so I'm going to reboot archetypes here in the next couple weeks. It's not going to be a lead class per se, like we're going to have lots of meetings and stuff. I'm just going to throw some prompts out and some recorded videos. Some will be new shit, some will be old shit, but it'll be different. And the archetypes are going to be drastically different. So these are going to be kick-started archetypes. Fucking feral archetypes, to be honest with you. Just stuff that comes from that line of thinking, okay? So just totally offensive things in there somewhere, okay? So when you go in, as the editor told me, totally offensive. So when you go into these things and you move in, you have to think about, okay, I'm living in my light this way because in archetypes, there's a light to being the mother and there's a shadow to being the mother. So think of it as a newborn babe's mother. When she has that baby, she's exhausted. She's just depleted. Everything in her body literally has just come out. Like a whole portion of her body is just evacuated. You know, it was like an emergency situation. Whoosh. Okay. But the same can be said for a woman that's flung in to a mother type archetype. So a woman that falls in love with a man and he's got kids. And you're like, what the fuck? I don't know any of this. I'm not an instant just add water mom. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to nurture. I don't know how to do any of this. And a first time mom can have the same emotion. But you can also be this when you're starting a new idea, a new business, a new purpose. You go into that mother archetype. Okay. So there's this flush of enthusiasm, hope, all the things on the top side of a mom. First day in kindergarten mom. We are so excited that we got them to this point. We're so proud of them. But what if somebody talks to my baby and they say bad things? It's the shadow. It's the fear. It's the worry. And your shadow is the harder part of the archetype to control. So say your archetype, I'm gonna pick on Jackie here for a minute. It's caregiver. Okay. So the downside of her archetype could be victim or martyr. No, I got this, Jackie. I'm gonna sit here with you in this archetype. You ready? Caregiver, martyr. Okay. So I can tell you exactly how this shit balances. I live it every day. And you know what balances it? Mommy, I love you. It's the outside recognition that you feel that balances the light and the shadow. It's how what you're doing impacts those around you. That's how it's going to impact your shadow. Now, here's the thing. When you go into this archetype without being aware that you need that recognition, it makes you even angrier. I need that recognition. I love when Caroline sits in the car and goes, I love you, mommy. And Eric goes, what about me? And I'm like, fuck you. What about you? Not something I want to admit to my husband, but I definitely like it. It's like, I love you, mommy. What about me? She doesn't answer. You, Daddy. So you get that, see, that gratuitous love that you're looking for. Because you do these things for your child because you love them. You do these things for people because you love them. And when you don't get gratuitous recognition, it makes you fucking angry. Because you're like, I do all this and nobody sees it. The same thing can be said for a teacher. The same thing can be said for a spouse. Some of your soul contracts are just lacking your ability to say, hey, I want to be appreciated. It doesn't have to be big. I mean, I'm good with a Kit Kat bar and a kiss. I'm cool, man. Just bring me a Kit Kat and a kiss, and I'm yours forever. And sometimes it's an email from one of you guys that takes class. Hey, Sissy, this class was so helpful. I grew so much. Thank you. I'm like, that was worth it. We joke about the organization, but you're all organizations. You're all out there whoring yourselves out for something. It's not just me. We all do things for people because we love and care them. Your soul is so upset because you are getting nothing in return. Yes. And I know you're all going, I don't feel that way. Yes, you fucking do. Stop. Or we're going to have to talk about the martyr a little deeper. Okay. It's okay to want things. It's okay to need things. And these seasons tell you that. Spring is full of new awakenings and new beginnings. So if you're in your winter right now, let's do a cycle and a cycle. Because I honestly believe you could have a winter, a spring, and a summer in a winter if you work harder on it. You can have that healing. That's healing. Taking your body through the growth and reaping something. That's healing. That's a descent. That's movement forward. She talks about this as seasons, but it's so much more than seasons. And you got to be aware of where you're starting before we go further. So write your soul contract. Second thing is choose your archetypes that fit into your soul contract. So choose at least 3. Okay. If you want to do more, I so will put little golden stars on your posts as you write them. If I will give you that accomplishment, I'll be like, get it, girl. I mean, hell, you might even get a sticker in the mail from me. I fucking love my stickers. And I got enough Cricut paper to coat the entire United States of America in stickers. Let's do this. So these are the things you need to think about. You know, fuck yeah is abracadabra. When you start writing and you get there, it's like, fuck yeah, I did it. You'll see my shirt this week. I made myself a shirt that says, fuck yeah, is my abracadabra. It has a little magic wand on it. Because when I hit the moment, I'm like, fuck yeah, that's it. Right there. That's it. You guys need to start clapping for yourself. People may not always see your contribution. When you're at the grocery store and you're doing the errands and you've had a really rough week and you've done everything for the family, there's a Starbucks in front. Go get yourself the iced tea. It's $2. You don't have to have the fancy $9 drink. You can definitely go get the iced tea. It's $2. You can honestly get the candy bar at checkout or the little special that you wanted or the pretty little notebook in the corner that you've been eyeing up. Set yourself aside small rewards to reward yourself when you're getting into your soul contract. She's not talking about this here, but there is so much more involved in learning yourself is you need to learn how to reward yourself. Side note, good book, Love Languages. Anybody know love languages? You all should know this if you got married in the Christmas church. That's what I'm gonna start calling it instead of the Christian church, the Christmas church. If you were married in the Christmas church, you understand the 5 love languages, okay? Learn your love language. I used to think mine was words of affirmation. I'm 100% sure it is now. I mean, physical touch is a close one behind that. I do like my physical touch, but words of affirmation is very important. Nothing makes me happier, and children have love languages as well. So let's just throw this out here, okay? Let's just throw this out here. What if you figured out what your inner child's love language is and adult use love languages? Then you can make sure you're meeting your needs personally and getting out of your shadows quicker. Whoa. I know little me was a whore for googly-eyed, smelly stickers. Dude, love language connoisseur. That was my shit. Shiny rocks, sticks, and stickers. I collected things, and they all had to be different. I was an only child. It was very lonely. That's a very lonely existence if you all don't understand. So my love language couldn't be words of affirmation and couldn't be physical touch because there was nobody else there. It was me. So think about the way you tick. I will share that in the Jen, remind me. I will share those 2 books in there. You could probably get them on Kindle for like dirt cheap. They're old. They're seriously old, but they're great things to think about. So you want to do your soul contracts. I know some of you only have an hour to be here today, and I understand that, and I appreciate your time frame. The soul contracts, all that stuff. Look, I had you read up to 58, and we're only at what, like page 37, talking about this. And really go into the soul character aspect for next week. guys only have to really make sure you have read up to like page 59 for next time. Does that make sense? Because these are important things. These soul contracts are going to take you time. We have 2 weeks till the next meet. I'm trying to do these 2 weeks apart. The reason being, I don't want us to get off course and I want us to work the book. Does that make sense? So does anybody have questions before we end this up? So we're doing soul contracts, your tentative soul contracts, and your archetypes, your shadows and your lights, and how you're going to work on doing gratuitous things. If you want to do your inner child and adult love language, that will be like side work for you. Side work on your side work of your side work, right? Everybody's like, fuck you, sissy. I didn't want to read 2 more books. You probably can listen to them on books on tape and just get like the overall or read the synopsis of it because it's actually really good. But it's a great, if you're having any kind of marital problems, it's a fantastic book to read with your spouse. It really is. It's a great book if you guys are having communication issues. And if you're married to a man, he probably will not find it emasculating because it's very empowering to both partners. It's showing that you both have needs and expressions. It's a big part of imago therapy, if anyone's familiar with imago therapy. Does anybody know what that is? Okay, so let me tell you what imago therapy is before we finish this up today. So one partner sits in a chair, the other partner sits on a chair. They are the only two there. One partner tells the entire situation the way they experienced it. The other partner can say nothing while you're doing that. Then they shut up. Give the other partner adequate time to process. The partner repeats exactly back what they heard that person say. If this partner agrees, that's exactly what they heard and what they felt, and they know their partner feels how they feel. The discussion is now at a point where we discuss how can we amend this behavior. If they don't, they got to listen to you say it till they get it, repeat it back to you and understand it. This is why relationships are taxing because person A does not always hear what person B says thoroughly, and person B likewise. The same can be said for female friendships, male friendships, any kind of friendships, communities, anywhere. If two people are not willing to sit down and have a fucking discussion, both parties should probably go the opposite direction because nothing will ever be resolved. Communication is an agreement to balance your light and your shadow and move forward. You need to be in communication with yourself the same way. Write down what human self feels, see what soul self thinks of it. When you write those contracts, soul self's going to be like, hold up, girl. No, hold up. We're going to dream this. We're going to talk about this. We're going to work through this because I want you to understand what we obligated to. Because you are going to be uncomfortable and things are going to be out of sync in your life till you're meeting your soul purpose. Make sense? Half of us are struggling to catch our tail every day till we find what we're supposed to be doing. The stress is unbelievable till we find the groove we belong in. It's not divine timing. It's not goddess timing. It's not cosmic timing. It's your soul being in alignment where you're supposed to fucking be in the cosmos order. We are all a slave to the Chronos. All of us. There's only so much time in this lifetime. You're going to waste the rest of it doing shit that doesn't matter or you could care less about? It's an interesting concept. So that gives you guys a lot. I know a lot of you are sitting here going, shit, this is not what I was expecting out of this book club. This book is more than just this. This is why when you guys go through book clubs and you're like at chapter 3 on the second week, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? There's a lot going on in this book. She's an extremely talented writer. Brilliant. This book is brilliant. And I mean, it's just a bonus for me. It looks like a fucking coloring book. I ain't gonna lie. I fucking love that aspect of it. So does anybody have any questions or anything to add before we call it a day on this one? Tasha, you have anything to add?
Yeah, so when you said pull a card, I pulled from Earth Magic Oracle deck. I thought it really, when I pulled, I was like, okay, give me some guidance for this soul contract thing and give me some help, give me some clarification. And I pulled Dragonfly, which is the emergence card. And I was like, well, if that ain't a fucking sign, I don't know what is. So that's, I mean, it's a really, I don't know if I can focus it in, but just it's her emerging up from the water. And just by the image, it's like she's emerging up with that newfound confidence and surety of everything she knows and has learned. And so that's where it took me.
Chris?
I was just gonna say, Tasha, a little entomology on dragonflies. They spend quite a bit of time in the water before they emerge. They really, really do. And they are 100% dependent upon that body of water that their mom chose to put them in being a safe space. So it's pretty interesting given what this book is designed to do for us. What I do know about you and your past abilities to work things through completely and things like that. And then now you're like, right, I'm ready. So it's pretty interesting because don't think of it as mother as in like your bio mother. Think of it as in like Yod, which is Mother Earth for us Norths.
So
No,
think
and about
about
the dragonflies, yeah, I knew that, and that's, I'm trying not to be the crybaby witch that I actually am in front of you guys. But yeah, when I pulled that and seen that, I was like,
so think about this. Okay, so we'll close on this. Think about this. So you start your life in an amniotic sac, right? And you breathe in water and you breathe out water. That's how we all start, right? We're all guppies to start with. My grandma used to say, everybody's a tadpole when they start. And she was so fucking right. We're all tadpoles when we start. And we lose our tails and we become big, big badasses with duck feathers, some of us when we're born too early. You know, it is what it is. But I want you to think about this. The media portrays a lot of the ways people consider spiritual growth, right? A lot of people see the media, they see Hollywood movies, and they think this is how you do spiritual growth. Every time, now this will go to my nerd side, so you'll have to buckle in here for just 1 second, okay? Stranger Things, when Elle works in the liminal and she travels, she's walking in water. When the Avengers go into the liminal and can't think of his Thanos is traveling, he's walking in water. When every time you see a psychological vision, a movement, an epiphany, you're walking in water. Water is a fluid spiritual movement. It is not just an element. It is a transformational alchemy holding intentional building powerhouse that we underestimate. You want to find your soul contract, put your ass halfway under the water, let your nose out to breathe and listen. Get your naked little ass down in the tub, be still, get calm, and listen. The world looks different when you're submerged in the water. It feels different when you're submerged in the water. Learning to float is an aspect of trust. You are forming a bond with the water that it will hold you. What if you believed your magic was water and it would fucking hold you? What if when everything was bad, you crawled back in your little amniotic fluid-filled sack and it fucking held you and it nurtured your soul purpose and it breathed for you till you were strong enough to breathe? Some of the strongest rebirths that I have ever seen were women going into the water and coming back out. There's a reason the Christian church does it. There's a reason why they grabbed that. It is a visual representation of coming out of the womb that you have chosen to do it. They are covered with the blood of Christ. What if you come out of the water covered with your own magic and you unbaptize yourself into this tormented world we were thrown into as babies? Pull yourself up, sacred woman. Find your soul contract. Find your archetypes. It doesn't matter if they suck. It's okay. We love you anyway. Mine suck most of the time. I'm kind of a bitch. And I like it. Stop speaking bad about yourself. There's plenty of people around that'll do it for you. Stop. It's not worth it. There's one thing I've learned in the past 2 years. You will make it if you rely on your magic. You will fucking make it. It will not be pretty, but you will fucking make it. Put yourself under the water a little bit, write those contracts, and really sit in there. I love the shower too, Christine. Christine's like, what about the shower? I always pull the plug on the bottom of my shower and throw that coffee cocoa mixture I sent out to you guys. It smells like, Dittany died in there. That's the Dittany died death. My favorite bath wash I have, the Dittany died. Because Eric will walk in and go, what the fuck happened in here? Were you out in the garden? Nah, it's my bath wash. So these things, it's like mud. But think about it. It's emerging from the water and bringing it out. Take that for example. Take a day and do nothing but drink water, nurture yourself with water, move through water, focus on that element. It's a powerful fucking element. And all the water outside is telling us here in the Northeast is it's time to slow our fucking asses down and really focus that water element. Ice magic is phenomenal. If you've never made an ice candle, I highly recommend you do it. You know those cheap dollar store candles? If you burn one of them and there's a whole lot of wax in there, and you put a little milk carton out with a little wick in it and pour all your wax over the ice, what a beautiful scrying candle you will have. Because it shows you, even in the holes, there's magic. It's alchemy. It's all fucking alchemy. Out of me comes magic. That is my alchemy. Not out of someone else is my magic. For long, too long, we have been sourcing our magic from other people. Ours is way more powerful than theirs anyway. So you guys have a wonderful fucking afternoon. 2 weeks we'll reconvene. Jen will get you some posts up. I will meet with her later, probably tomorrow, get her some stuff. I've been taking a lot of time back. If I'm sure you guys noticed, there's been a lot of time back. I'm trying to work on some personal stuff. My therapist gave me homework to work on. So I hope you guys have a wonderful day. You're magic as you fucking say you are. Oh, fucking Farrell's gonna kill me, but you'll all have it in your hands to judge me soon. So I love you all, guys, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. See